Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. I got a brand new video for y'all, and today I'm making a NHL trades video where I'll be covering every single one of these trades that have taken place over the last few days in the NHL. And yeah, I'll be explaining them all, getting some scores, ranking them for each team, and then ultimately letting you guys decide whether or not these were good trades or not. And yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. And I do have to give a little disclaimer at the start. I do have a slight bias. I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs and I love the Montreal Canadiens. So I might have some bias there. But other than that, I don't have any biases. And so when we look at what's happened in the NHL over the last couple of days, today, at the time of recording, it is Thursday, June 25th. It's 4:50 p.m. Eastern Time right now. And I'm reporting it as it is right now. There have been a series of major trades that have happened over the last, it's now been a bit more than 72 hours. But it really all started with the Darren Raddysh trade, the trade and signed by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm going to be going in chronological order. We'll start off with the last, from the 19th, so that's about 6 days ago. And there's a bunch of trades we have here. All the ones in red are major, major trades. So we'll be going through all of them, and I'll be explaining whether or not I think, a certain team won in that trade, and then I'll be rating each trade for each side. So the first one, Darren Raddysh for a fifth-round pick. They traded him from Tampa Bay, so the Leafs got him from Tampa Bay, and then the Leafs proceeded to sign him for an 8-year, $8.5 million AAV contract. Now, there's many issues I have with this contract, first and foremost, but I also have some issues with the overall deal that they made with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But let's break it down really quickly, and then we have a bunch of other ones to move on to. So the Maple Leafs, they need a defenseman, right? Morgan Rielly just requested a trade, and I'll talk about that a bit at the end. But they need a defenseman, and Darren Raddysh had 70 points. Sounds pretty good, right? You traded for a guy who had 70 points, you only give up a fifth-round pick, and then you just sign him right away. That's not too bad, in theory, except when you realize that Darren Raddysh is 30 years old, and this was really the best season that he's had, and most likely he will not be able to replicate this, especially on a weaker Toronto Maple Leafs side that isn't as well coached, that does not have as strong of a power play as Tampa Bay Lightning had. So you have to consider all those things, and then also keep in mind, Darren Raddysh will be 38 by the time his contract ends. This is a horrible contract, genuinely an awful contract for the Leafs. So I'll be giving the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'll give him a 6. I don't think this is a horrible trade in the sense that, they didn't have to retain any salary, obviously, because he's up for extension. But, they do lose a piece, that is correct, but they don't lose too much. And to lose him to a division rival and to have them drain their cash over that player, that's not too bad of a deal. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. I'm a Habs fan, everybody knows that, but this has nothing to do with me being a Habs fan. This is just a bad contract. And that is ultimately what my issue is here. I don't have that much of an issue with the trade itself. I don't care about the fifth-round pick. It's the contract. It's not a great contract. So we have this Samuel Skavich trade to the Seattle Kraken. I don't care too much about this one because this one isn't also it's really not that important because it's not denoted by the major trade sign. But it's an interesting one, and it did give the Florida Panthers something that we will be talking about in a second, and that is a 2026 first-round pick. So just keep that in mind. Because on the 21st of June, which was 4 days ago at the time of recording, I swear the NHL just changed. I don't know what happened. You could argue, obviously, Darren Raddysh trade was the turning point, and, I sort of am framing it that way, but the true turning point was June 21st. So on June 21st, 2026, a few days ago, the Ottawa Senators traded their captain, Brady Tkachuk, to the Florida Panthers. Now, did this come as a surprise to everybody? It came as a surprise to some people. I would say most people were surprised by the suddenness of this trade, but I was not surprised. I made a video about this where I ranked all these teams, and I said, hey, Ottawa, there's been rumors that Brady Tkachuk is going to get traded, and there's a guy who said in the comments, he's like, oh no, Brady Tkachuk is definitely not getting traded. And lo and behold, 2 days later, he gets traded. So what they trade is a 2026 first-round pick, the Florida Panthers did. Two of them, actually, I should say. one of them being the Seattle Kraken's first round pick. They also traded their number 9 overall, which was kind of a surprise because Florida finished pretty badly this year. A conditional 2029 first round pick. Let me see what this condition is. I didn't actually see it. Um, Maybe we could figure out some information here. Top 10 protected. So they traded top 10 protected 2029 first round pick. So obviously a lot of draft picks here, and then a 2027 second round pick. So I mean, it was a big draft, trade. But you get Brady Tkachuk, who's the brother of Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk has won 2 cups, by the way, and they played on Team USA. They played together for some time on these different teams, on national teams, etc. And to now have them on the Florida Panthers, who are a very good team, who just faced some injuries this year, it's going to get very dangerous. It's going to get very dangerous. The Eastern Conference is going to look different. I'm telling you right now, mark my words, there's going to be teams like the Buffalo Sabres who are going to fall off. And I've been saying this since the start. I believe that the Buffalo Sabres are frauds. And I have no concerns about making that statement because, frankly, the Buffalo Sabres were never really supposed to be as good as they were this season. So teams like Buffalo are getting knocked down. Teams like Philly are screwed in the Metro because we'll talk about this. Washington seems to be doing something interesting, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, I need to cover this one. Now, this one sort of went over my head. I did not keep track of all these trades because it just kept happening over and over again. I didn't know Simon Nemec got traded to the Flames until today, until I looked up this tracker of all these trades. And they also traded Maxim Siplikov, the Devils did, to the Calgary Flames. He's not really that significant, but Simon Nemec, I don't know how you pronounce it, he was really the main centerpiece for this trade. And so I have some thoughts about this. I don't hate it. You know what I mean? I don't hate it for either side. Oh, I forgot to rank this one. Ottawa Senators, I'll give them like a 5. I don't think this is a good trade overall. I mean, you did trade your captain. And was he that unhappy that, you had to make the trade? I don't think so. I think you could have probably fixed it if you had just built your team. So I don't think it's a great trade. However, they did get some return, which is the 9th and 25th overall pick, which isn't actually that bad. But I'll explain that in a second, why that's significant. And then the Panthers, I mean, they're going for the cup again. They're trying to build a dynasty here. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. This is an incredible trade. Now, the Flames and Devils trade. I will say, I do think the Flames made a good trade. I do like Simon Nemec. I think he's a really, really good player. And look, the Flames, they do have draft capital that they can expend. So I don't hate this. It's good they didn't give up a draft pick for this year. With that being said, they're probably not going to be good for the next few years, and giving up your 2027, your 2028, and it being unprotected is kind of risky in my opinion because I think they'll probably be at the bottom of the standings next year. The Devils, on the other hand, I don't think they'll be terrible. I think they'll miss the wild card position or something. But for them, this is not a bad trade. Honestly, this is not a bad trade. But you do trade away a young defenseman who got drafted 2nd overall, so that is kind of risky there. Because you never know. Maybe he'll turn out to be number 1 defenseman in Calgary. You never know. Now, what I'll grade this is I'll give Calgary a 7. I think this is a good trade. I think they need a strong defenseman. I think they need a young guy to get some energy in this group. And the Devils, man, if this goes how I think it'll go for the Flames next season, I really do think this could be a 10 out of 10 trade. We could be looking back at this and saying, hey, this was really the turning point because the Flames might very well be last place next year because this is really their major move that they made this offseason. Now, so 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Now, Senators, they're not done yet. They are not done yet. So on that same day, on the 23rd, they traded for William Eklund, who honestly I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of William Eklund. I think he's a really good player. Kasper Halttunen, and Brandon Svoboda. So I haven't heard of these other 2 players. I don't know who they are. William Eklund, I do know because he is a really, really good player. He has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. And they traded for all these 3 players. They traded a first-round pick. Now, the problem I have with this is that it's a number 9 pick. Okay? Now listen. What do the Senators get? They get an established player who's continuing to develop, who knows that he can put up points, who has shown it in the past on a very weak San Jose Sharks team. And, he could be a guy who could be he could easily be like a second line, first line winger, right? But the problem is you give up the ninth overall pick. Now, I don't hate it. I don't hate the ninth overall pick being given away because I think the Sens, they kind of did get lucky getting the ninth overall because they traded Florida. With that being said, you could say that this is a product of the Brady Tkachuk trade. And so the question is, was it really, in fact, a trade for Brady Tkachuk for William Eklund, right? Was that really the trade that happened here? Because they basically gave away the ninth overall pick, which was sort of the centerpiece of this trade. I don't love that. I don't really love that. I think Brady Tkachuk is a far superior player to William Eklund. And so I don't know who these other two players are. They're not really important here. But William Eklund, he is good. Don't get me wrong. But he is not like a top 10 NHL player. He's not a Nick Suzuki. He's not a Cole Caulfield. He's not a Kucherov. He's not, all those guys. He's not a McDavid. He's not a Matthews. Whatever player you want to put in. So I don't love this. I actually don't love this for Ottawa. On first look, it may seem like a good trade. On second look, when you really dig deep, it's not that great. And the 25th overall pick, is probably not going to stay with Ottawa. They might trade it as well. So, yeah, I'm going to give Ottawa like a 4 on this one. I don't love this trade. Now, San Jose, they have the second overall pick, and they have the ninth now. So I will say, look, did they want to trade Eklund? Probably not. However, they have a lot of players coming up their pipeline, so I don't think it matters too much to them. I think this is a really good trade for San Jose. I think this is like a 9 out of 10 trade for San Jose, and this could really pay dividends depending on what they do with that ninth overall pick. Next, and this is a big one too. This kind of went over my head too until the next day when I woke up and I read the hockey news because it happened at 5:30 4 p.m., but I guess I didn't pay attention. Jordan Kyrou officially traded to Washington. Now, Kyrou, I'm just going to look this up just to confirm how many points he had this season. But he is a very good player. Yeah, he had 70 points last year. He had 75 in 2021. He had 73 the year after. He is a very solid player. He's able to perform in the playoffs. He's shown it before. 12 games, 9 points. I like him a lot. I really do like Kyrou. And I'm a Habs fan, so I was hoping that the Habs would trade for him, as were the rumors quite a bit. They were pretty live last season, during the season. But it didn't end up happening. But I really do like Kyrou. I think he's a very good player. And I will say this. I think if there's any team that he can really excel on, I think it's Washington. I think Washington is a very good team. I don't like them because they beat the Habs 2 years ago. But they have some really good pieces there. They have some really good players. They have experience. And they are an older team, admittedly. But they're a very physical team too. And I think Kyrou, he's not the most physical player, but he is able to put up points, right? Playing with guys like Tom Wilson and Ovi, obviously, and Dubois and, Chikrin. I think that's going to help him. I think that will be very good for him. St. Louis didn't really have any central players other than Robert Thomas. So Kyrou's kind of left fending for himself and sort of creating that offense himself, which, that's good and bad because he's not a game changer. Kyrou is not a game changer. He's not somebody that's going to single-handedly win you a game, but he is somebody that can significantly help you make the playoffs or increase your chances to make the playoffs, and then can actually help you in the playoffs as well. So I like this trade for Washington. I think this is an 8 out of 10 trade for Washington. Now, they gave up Connor McMichael, who honestly, I like him. I don't think he's not as good as Jordan Kyrou, but he is pretty good. Milton Gastrin, I don't know who he is. And then a 2026 first-round pick. Washington didn't have that high of a pick, so it's not the end of the world. But St. Louis is sitting on like 4 picks now in the first round, so that's pretty interesting. And I'll get to that in a second. Next major deal, surprise, surprise, all on the same day. If you take a look at June 23rd, we had 4 major trades. Wow, that's quite a lot. Bowen Byram. Okay, now this trade is probably the most questionable one. For St. Louis, I'm gonna say this is like a 6 out of 10. Jordan Kyrou was about to be traded, but I don't think the return is terrible. I think it could have been a bit better. Bowen Byram and Jordan Greenway to the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Louis Crevier, who is he's fine. He's probably not going to be more than a third liner in the NHL in his career, but he's fine. a 2026 first round pick and 2026 second round pick. Now, I don't care about the second round pick. Forget that, right? We don't really care much about that. What I do care about is the first round pick. And you may be wondering, well, why does it matter? What if it's like a 32nd overall? It's the fourth overall pick. So you're telling me, I'm just trying to picture what the Chicago Blackhawks GM is doing, Kyle Davidson. He saw this and he was like, yeah, I'm going to trade the fourth overall pick for Bowen Byram. Bowen Byram. He's not that good. Okay, I'm sorry. He's not that good. And Jordan Greenway. Jordan Greenway is not a good player either. Right? He's extremely bad and slow. And yeah, he'll score like the occasional goal when he's just cherry picking in front of the net. But he is not a good player. He takes a bunch of penalties. So really what we're trading for is Bowen Byram for this fourth overall pick. And I think this is ridiculous. I hate this trade for Chicago. I hate this. I hate this. I don't like this at all. Now, Buffalo, this is a 10 out of 10 trade, right? Because you had many concerns that Byron maybe walk, maybe they'd have to trade him, maybe, like the extensions and everything like that. How would that work out? There was a lot of uncertainty around Byron, right? With Chicago, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this fourth overall pick being traded. I don't know what they see in Bowen Byram that makes them think that he's like their saving grace. He's not that good. He's not going to be a 60-point scorer in the NHL as a defenseman. He might hit like 55 points or something. I think he had like 42 or 48 this season. He is not a Cale Makar. He's not a Lane Hudson. He's not going to be that. So I don't know why you traded the fourth overall pick for that. Chicago Blackhawks, this is a 2 out of 10 trade. This is awful. But it's not a complete disaster in the sense that they basically just gave up everything. Another major trade, and this is really where it gets more and more interesting every day. I don't know what the Washington Capitals are cooking up right now, but they are certainly doing something. They traded for Alex Tuch, so they acquired Alex Tuch from the Sabres in exchange for a third-round pick and David Kampf. David Kampf was a former Toronto Maple Leaf. I remember that whenever the Leafs fans would, mention the playoffs, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, David Kampf, David Kampf." Turns out he was like a fourth liner. So he's pretty insignificant in this trade. The third round pick, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal either because this was a sign and trade because Alex Tuch is up for contract extension this season. He's a UFA this season, or this summer, I mean. So they would have to do something, the Sabres, or they could just let him walk and get nothing in return. So they decided to make this trade. Now, Washington, where I think this gets really interesting is I think Washington could be dangerous in the Metro next season. I really do think so. I think with Kyrou and Tuch, this is a very interesting dichotomy that exists, but I really do like this for Washington. I really do. And look, I think the salary is awful. I will say that. And that will factor into my decision of what I say for the score for each team. $10.5 million is ludicrous for a guy like Alex Tuch, who only had, let me just double check his points. It wasn't that much. I think he had like 70 points this season. I mean, it was quite a bit, obviously. But when you compare it to his contract, I mean, it does not justify it. Yeah, he had 66 points, right? His best season was 79 points, and that was with Buffalo like 4 years ago, when, Tage Thompson was popping off too. He's also 30 years old. I want to mention that. So this kind of reminds me of Darren Raddysh in a sense that this is a horrible contract for a 30-year-old. A 30-year-old who had a decent season. He didn't have a breakout season like Darren Raddysh did. He had a good season. And I think one thing that Sabres fans, or I should say Capitals fans should know is that Alex Tuch sucked in the series against Montreal. Right? As a Habs fan, I was actually worried about Alex Tuch. I was like, man, this guy might actually score quite a few goals on us, or might get some points. He sucked. He was awful. Like he had 13 games, 7 points, and I can guarantee most of them were against the Bruins. Right? I don't remember him getting that many points against the Habs, if any. So he is not the type of guy you want when you're in the playoffs and you're grinding it out. Right? He did make the finals with Vegas. Granted, he only had 10 points. So again, kind of proving my point that he doesn't perform nearly as well as he does in the regular season as he does in the playoffs. So, sorry, he doesn't perform as well in the playoffs as he does in the regular season. I think it's kind of concerning for a team like Washington, who I'm assuming has aspirations to make it back to the playoffs next year, to see that. However, I don't mind it in the sense that Buffalo got something out of it, so I don't mind it for them. I do not like this contract, though. I don't like this contract at all. 10.5 is beyond what I would even consider. I don't think Alex Tuck is worth more than 7.5 million in my opinion, but that's just my personal take. He's also 30 years old. Keep that in mind. This is an 8-year contract. For Washington, look, they're clearly trying to make a push. I mean, it's quite obvious now, based on this trade at least. I'll give this like a 4 out of 10. I don't like the signing. That really brings it down quite a bit. I think the trade itself is good. I actually, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10, actually. I really do not like this contract. I don't like it at all. Now, for the Sabres, he would have gone anyways, most likely. I mean, I thought he was going to sign, but re-sign with the Sabres. But if that was not a possibility, I don't mind this for them because at least they got like something out of it. I'll give this like a 4 out of 10. It was a significant trade for them, at least. It was a significant trade for Washington, though. This is another one. Jack Drury, Chase Bradley, and a 2029 third-round pick sent to the Predators in exchange for Zachary Lheureux and Fedor Svechkov. This is not a significant trade, obviously, because they didn't denote it, but just adds on to the pile of chaos that happened in the last couple of days. Garnet Hathaway, actually one of the players I know on Philadelphia. I wouldn't say, I was going to say he's a pretty well-known player. I don't think he is. But he's one of the players I know in Philadelphia. I don't know that many players on that team. So he's straight to Florida. He's probably going to play in some sort of role in the bottom six. Probably fourth line, realistically. But yeah, I mean, this is another trade just added on. Just it kind of adds to the chaos. And then we have some other minor trades that happened today, actually. Hendrix Lapierre sent to the Penguins from Washington. And then, I mean, this one is not that... I wouldn't consider it that minor, but I also don't think it's major. I think it's kind of like right behind the threshold of it being like a moderate trade. Valery Nichushkin, who won a cup with Colorado, got traded to Columbus for a 2026 second-round pick, 2027 third round, 2028 fifth round. Now, I'm not going to grade these ones because they're not that significant, but I will grade all the teams that were involved now by basically compiling their scores, and I will say there's some teams that we see involved quite a bit. And fine, I'll include some of these minor trades for the teams that come up over and over again. Washington Capitals, look, I'll give them a 6 out of 10. I do like these moves, but I don't like the Alex Tuck contract. That does bring it down quite a bit. It really does. Sabres, man, I gotta say, this is the only 10 out of 10 move that I saw other than the Brady Tkachuk one, and I'm gonna give them like a 10 out of 10 again in terms of their moves that they made so far. Fleecing the Blackhawks with the 4th overall pick for frickin' Bowen Byram is unbelievable in my opinion. I think that's gonna be a trade that's gonna be studied for a while. Just watch. St. Louis Blues, I don't love this trade for them. But then again, they have like 4 first round picks, so I'll give them like a 5 out of 10. Right, it's mid. That's fine. San Jose. I mean, this is where it gets kind of interesting. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know how to grade them on this one, honestly. I forgot what I gave them. Like, I know I gave them a grade before, but I want to also include these ones too, to some extent, because they did trade for Kesselring. I'll give the Sharks like a 7. I mean, I don't hate it, right? The 9th overall pick, I don't hate that. But giving up William Eklund, it might suck in the future. For the Senators, with the Brady Tkachuk trade, which really kind of all started this whole debacle, I will give them overall, right, with the Eklund trade and the Brady Tkachuk trade, I don't know. I'm going to give them like a 4. I don't love their trades. I don't like the Brady Tkachuk trade. I don't like it. Because what they did was they basically traded Brady Tkachuk for Eklund, which I don't like at all. I don't like that. Nemec and the Devils. The Devils and the Flames. That's an interesting one. I do like I think this is a pretty even trade. I think this is a really even trade, and so I'll just call it even. I'll call it 5 for Flames, 5 for the Devils, and the Leafs. I mean, this is a horrible trade. Like I said, this is like a 2 out of 10. Tampa Bay, kind of neutral to it, but yeah, like probably like a 7. I mean, I don't hate it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on some of these trades. I mean, there's a lot that's gonna happen in the next few hours. If I refresh, there's probably something that's happened. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, nothing's happened since I started recording the video. It's 5:15, and this was at 4:28, the Nichushkin one. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I think there will be some stuff that's gonna happen in the next couple hours. I think we might see Hellebuck traded. We'll probably see Werenski traded. I do think the Habs will be doing something ahead of the draft tomorrow. Um, but yeah, it'll be very interesting. And look, I mean, I just want to point this out. Oh yeah, Morgan Rally. Forgot to mention. I don't have it on this page, but he will probably be traded to Anaheim or because he's had 4 Western Conference teams. I don't think the list is maybe public, but he'll probably be traded to Anaheim, maybe Vegas. All 4 teams are the Western Conference, so we'll see who it is. I doubt he put Edmonton on it, even though Edmonton is year over year considered to be a favorite. I don't know why. Um, but yeah, I think who else? Yeah, last thing I want to mention. I I don't know what it is. It might just be me. I'm a big Toronto Maple Leafs hater. I just want to say that at the forefront. I really do hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm a Habs fan, so I have no respect for them. Even though I live in Toronto, by the way, I just want to mention that. So that's why I kind of hate them even more because I've seen the fans and how they react to their like constant failures, and they try to gaslight themselves and think they're good. So I hate the Leafs a lot. And what really irritates me about the Leafs is how they have this complete fraud, John Chayka, running this team. John Chayka, look, I might even make a full separate video on this alone, but I really do think John Chayka should be banned from the NHL, based on what he did in the past. And the fact that he got hired with the Leafs, I mean, a lot of people do hold my belief, but the fact that he got hired by the Leafs is just such a sad indication of the state of this franchise. And so he said, Leafs decide on who they're drafting #1 pick. I mean, you had like 2 months to decide, so it's not much of a surprise. And Chayka says that that player can change franchises for decades to come. Look, I was hoping they would do some stupid thing and maybe draft Stenberg or something. But realistically, look, unless something crazy happens, I think it's McKenna. But I would have loved if the Leafs drafted somebody that, like, if they didn't draft McKenna, because I really do think McKenna has a bright future on any team he goes to except the Toronto Maple Leafs. Truly. I do genuinely believe that. So I feel bad for the kid, but keep your head up, Gavin, man. I am rooting for him to some extent, even though I'm a Habs fan. I really do hope he doesn't get as badly treated as Marner and Matthews have been over the last couple of years. And I really do want to see him get traded after a while because I don't think he's going to last in Toronto. I don't think there's any point in him staying in Toronto after a few years. And yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow in the draft. But nonetheless, I just want to mention that the Habs are going to be doing something. We're going to be doing something. So I'm excited for that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about all these trades, about all the trade rumors that are happening. Hellebuck might also get traded too. Keep that in mind. And let me know what you guys think about the draft coming up. I might make like one more video about the draft. I know I made a mock draft a few days ago, but the order kind of changed overall because of all the trades and a bunch of picks have been traded. So I might make a new mock draft video, and I kind of made that one in a rush. So let me know if you guys want to see that. And yeah, if there's any feedback you guys have for the video, please let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.